Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ask Kennedy presented by Moser Consulting. I'm your host, Angel Leon, Moser's Director of Personnel. We're happy that you could join us for this episode of Ask Kennedy because today we're talking with Moser Consulting's Director of Moser Labs, Natalie Fischesser, who is joining us to talk about our Wellness by Moser Labs application. Natalie is passionate about creating amazing user experiences through thoughtfully built web applications. As Director of Moser Labs, Natalie oversees the strategy, planning, and execution of Moser's internal business apps. Through her 15 plus years at Moser, Natalie has worked as UX designer, Scrum Master with a CSM Certification, and team manager. Natalie believes strong teams are built through collaboration and transparency, and she's always looking for ways to leverage her teammates' strengths. Natalie is a creator by nature, and in her free time, she has been learning watercolor and helping friends with business branding and design needs. And I have to ask about watercolor, but before we do, let's welcome our guest. Natalie, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing excellent. I want to ask about watercoloring. Just what can you share with us about it?
Well, it was a hobby I started during COVID because
Okay.
taking care of kids and trying to do school at home was very challenging. And we all need outlets to make ourselves feel better and more complete and recharged. So I just started doing some online lessons and, have a little background with drawing, but never anything to do with painting or anything like that. So kind of started from scratch and just took over. It's really fun and just paper, so you can always throw it out if it didn't turn out well.
When I'm less busy with children's sports and school activities, I love watching Bob Ross, like
Oh,
old Joy
yeah.
of Painting episodes. I have every intention of getting a set of oils, paints, and attempting to follow along with a couple of episodes when I have more time in the future. And I look forward to immediately throwing them away because they're going to be terrible.
You should try it. You never know. I mean, it might not turn out exactly like that, but you might start your own style.
Listen, as someone who is terrible with any kind of painting, even just hand painting, anything like that, I'm very glad to be among somebody who actually does have some skill. So thank you, Natalie, for joining us.
Yeah,
Again.
absolutely.
So last week we talked a little bit about the Wellness by Moser Labs with Moser Consulting's one of its owners, Paula Moser, and we kind of went into the history of the app itself and why Moser implemented the program. But you are a little bit more intimate with the app because you obviously helped design the current iteration. You and your team are working very much hand in hand in developing this app so that it can be something that Moser can put out to the public. But let's start with a little bit about why wellness is important in the workplace, because that's something that I know you are passionate about.
I think when we think about wellness, we tend to have a lot of different ideas. Many people often think of wellness as just physical health, and it's much more than that. So, it can include mental health, emotional health, financial well-being. I think when employers are looking to improve the wellness of their employees, it's important to be proactive in how we approach that. So we want to think about people as a whole, and it's important to recognize that everyone as individuals need different things to support a balanced lifestyle. More and more employers are looking for new and different ways to improve work-life balance and support their employees.
Yeah, everything you mentioned there is basically ways that employers can help employees develop, not just professionally, obviously, because we do that here at Moser, but just personally as well, because wellness, as you mentioned, should be thought about holistically. I think that's a great way of putting it, because it's not just about going to the gym, what we were discussing with Paula last week, or maybe having a personal trainer. It's about financial stability, being healthy financially speaking, among other things that you mentioned. Maybe wellness of the mind, mental health is a huge topic nowadays. So that's another thing that comes to mind when we're talking about wellness. So I think it's very important to look at the benefits of investing in something like this. So let's talk about the investment part of this. What can you tell us a little bit about the benefits of investing in such a topic as wellness?
Well, when employers invest in their employees' wellness, they're showing their commitment to the overall employee well-being and are actively creating a positive workplace culture. So there's various reports that have shown that healthier employees are more engaged, they take fewer sick days, and they're more focused on their task, which leads to long-term cost savings for the company.
Yeah, productivity, I think, is key in everything that you mentioned there, especially because those studies might indicate that the better prepared the employee is on a wellness scale, if you will, then the more productive they're probably going to be because they feel safe around everything else.
Exactly it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the common wellness expense that we see here at Moser, and really, I think across the board, not just here, but because we have, as we talked about last week, we have our program kind of encompasses a lot at Moser, and I feel like we're lucky to have that because, as we explained last week, we have not just the wellness topics, some of which you mentioned, but we also have working from home related items that we added during the pandemic so we can help our employees develop their own in-home office for their use. So what can you tell us a little bit about those common wellness expenses?
Yeah, so wellness expenses are going to vary widely depending on the program that a company decides to establish. But, I think we've touched on some of the examples. It could be anything from gym membership, it could be on-prem gym equipment or a gym at work. And it really depends on the company and what they value and what they want to offer their employees. So, as you mentioned at Moser, we have a very broad program, but it can really be anything.
Yeah, we do have a very broad program.
When we started talking about it, I wrote down flexible and accommodating are two words that I think of when I think about our wellness program, because really you can find a lot of different things that qualify. And if there's something that's not listed, you can also always ask to see if it can get added, which I very much appreciate.
Yep. We do take advice for our employees for things that they like. We've approved some things that are good, and we've seen some very bad examples, but I'm not going to go into those because that would be another episode. All right, so let's talk about the program. Why should companies consider a wellness program for their employees?
So, I think first defining what a wellness program is probably important to level set everybody. But what a wellness program is a set of initiatives that are designed to support the employee's health and well-being. These programs can encompass a wide range of activities and services that are generally tailored to the needs and preferences of any company's workforce. The primary goal of these programs are to improve employees' physical health, mental health, reduce healthcare costs, increase productivity, and improve the overall job satisfaction that employees experience.
Yeah, those are some of the good benefits that employees have when we talk about mental health being and physical health. Those are things that are very key right now in our world. So offering something that helps employees through those things, I think it's key in retention. When you talk about retention of employees, obviously engagement with the employees, that's very important. So we talked a little bit about some of the things that employees might benefit from, but what about employers? What could they get from having a program like this established?
So, employers can see with healthier employees through programs to help employees stop smoking, to make healthier food choices. You can see a dietitian, different things. You're going to get some tangible results when your employees are healthier. Healthier employees also tend to perform better for their customers and provide better service just in general. When people feel better, you work better.
Yeah, and I got to say, from employer standpoint, as basically the administrator for medical plans, et cetera, we do see an increase in saving costs because we're providing an additional step with the wellness app for our employees. Last week, we covered a little bit about covering fees such as like Weight Watchers, things like that, that help employee adopt fitness programs or dieting programs beyond what a medical plan can do. And so we obviously on the back end see savings because obviously employees are going less to the doctor, they're going less to a dietitian, et cetera. So it's all related, right? When you talk about health, especially. So when you look at having a wellness program and then the benefits that that can have for both parties, for the employer and the employee, it's very beneficial across the board for everybody involved.
Yeah, I think it's really about helping people adopt healthier lifestyles and finding balance, which is always a challenge.
Yes, absolutely. So let's dive a little bit into Moser and why we decided to invest in building a wellness app.
All right. So Since I've been employed at Moser, they've always tried to take care of their employees and looking for different and creative ways to do so. So one of the ways that they did was through a wellness program that offered employees a quarterly stipend to be used for health-related purchases. And with a diverse workforce, it was important to offer flexibility to use these funds in a way that fit individual employees' lifestyles. Once they had the program designed and proved that it worked and employees liked it and adopted it, it was important to administer it. And we decided to do so through building our own application. So with wellness, that's where Wellness by Moser Labs comes in. It was a pretty simple app to be used only by Moser. Employees can log in, they can make purchases and submit them through each period. The app keeps track of their balances so they can always know how much they have to spend. And employees have enjoyed it. They've enjoyed yoga classes, race entry fees, running shoes, I think identity theft protection, meditation apps, all sorts of things. So, our HR folks are the ones that administer our program, like on health, and they have a separate interface that helps them review and approve and deny expenses. And from the feedback that I've heard about it, it's a pretty streamlined process in comparison to other apps that they had used. And that was a big driving force, was to keep it very streamlined and simplified for all the users of the app, whether it's employees or the admins that are administering it.
Yeah, and I can talk from the administrative side of things that it's a way better experience now than it's ever been, honestly, because it is a very streamlined effort, and that we just do a couple of clicks and we are out of the screen without having to do many other changes. So as somebody who's using it for both a user perspective, I submit my own receipts, etc., which I can definitely talk about how intuitive and easy it is, how with your phone, you can basically just take a picture of the receipt and submit it right there through the app. It's a seamless process that only takes a couple of clicks, maybe a couple of inputs of text. So you can basically explain what you bought and couple of clicks here and there, choose the date of purchase, etc., and you're done. It takes probably less than, I think it takes more time to line up the picture that you're going to take for the receipt than anything else. But that's just me, because I want the picture to be perfect. It's the way I am. But from the admin standpoint, I got to say it's definitely a streamlined effort that when we go in there, we have hundreds of transactions, especially at the end of the quarter. It's very easy to just view receipts in one screen, determine if it's something that we will allow or deny, and then just click either or and provide an explanation if we deny it, and that's it. And it's very easy. So in keeping with the investing part, what can you tell us a little bit about some of the key features and the unique selling points that the Wellness app has?
Some of the features we just touched on, you mentioned, it's kind of always a focus is that user-friendly interface that's really easy to use. It's really easy to get in and get your tasks done and get back to work, get back to family time, get back to whatever you're wanting to do. We wanted to make that submission process very easy. We also on the backside wanted to make sure that the review and approval process was easy as well, with automatic reminder emails and automatic emails that let you know your expense was approved or denied. And it's very clear to people, what they need to do next if there's an issue with the app. Some of the selling points that we have is it's customizable to fit any company's culture. So they get to choose, what they want to do and how they want to use the app. They can choose the categories they want to include. And that kind of helps people tailor it to their company's values. We also have a feature where you can add additional funds throughout the year, which is really great if a company decides to do a health fair and they want to give participants extra allocations, for participation. The other kind of last thing with our unique selling points is we really don't have any hidden fees or spending limits in this app.
So what can you tell us about the build of the app? Because obviously we came from, when I started at Moser 4 years ago, the app looked different than what it is right now. So what can you tell us about that development? And I want to hear as well if you have any success stories about the app.
Sure. So the app, in taking it from a single company to multi-company use, was a significant investment. Our solution was built for Moser's wellness program, and we knew if we wanted to sell it to other companies, we would need to address flexibility, security, accessibility, and even look at the ease of use to make sure that it makes sense for all users and not just Moser users. In that process, we rethemed the app and restructured the technical side to allow for multi-tenancy, or in layman's terms, an app that is able to be used by multiple companies versus a single one. We needed to make sure that we allowed for other companies to have the ability to customize their program. So we made it where they could change their dollar amount, payout frequencies, and choose the categories that fit their needs. We also include role management. So a company can decide who their admins are, so people that can see everything in the app. We also have an approver role. So if you have junior level folks, maybe that are approving on your HR side, they don't have access to everything, but they have access to approve and deny expenses, do the reviewal process. And then we have just regular users that can submit receipts. And then when we think about some of the success stories with wellness, it was often brought up on a lot of our employee satisfaction surveys. People ranked it high. They really enjoy it. They like this benefit. It is an additional benefit to regular healthcare cost. And we've gotten a lot of feedback that people really enjoy it and they enjoy the flexibility. But I am curious, with Angel and Brian on the call today, what have you enjoyed using your wellness program for?
I'll let Brian go first.
Man, I have a number of answers for this. We've used it for registration fees for half marathons, for marathons, for my wife and for me. We've used it for running shoes. The one thing probably that has brought the most peace to the house was I got a massage gun. And like within a month of having the massage gun, the kids were fighting over it because, basketball and softball and like practices and stuff. Like, I want it. I'm like, hey, I just got a second one. Now we have two. That was the easy. I was like, no problem. Boom, done. So now we have two massage guns and there's a lot less griping.
That's a good story. I also got a massage gun. I got into Peloton, so that helped out a lot. Brian mentioned running shoes. My wife takes advantage of it because of the nails part of it and the massage part of it. So I'm not gonna lie, it's really a perk for her. So she loves it because of that. So every month I get this slither of receipts and I'm like, all right, thank you. Thanks for using what I wanted to use. But she likes it. And that's one of the things that we provide is it's not just for our employees, it's also for their spouses. So their spouses can take advantage of the wellness app as well. So yeah, so there you have it. A lot of stuff. And I'm sure if we surveyed our employees, we get a ton of more responses. So yeah, I definitely think that's just us. I know because I'm the admin of the app, I can see what people get. It's a hit. As I was telling Paula, I think in terms of usage rate on a month by month basis, I think we're at about between 85 and 88%, 89% of usage of just the whole company using it, submitting some kind of receipts. Because sometimes people get stuff, but they don't get the whole amount on a quarterly standpoint, but they at least submit something for that quarter. So I would say it's about 85 to 88% of usage. And that is a lot. I mean, when you think about a company that's almost 300 people and you're basically getting 88% of people to use a program, that's definitely call that a very high success rate. So
yeah, I don't understand the other 12%. I don't leave money on the table. I don't. It's just like, oh, I'm like stuff I'm probably going to be buying or need to be buying anyway. You'll reimburse me for it. Boom. Here you go. I will have that money now. Thank you.
Yeah, I got nothing to say there. All right, so I'm going to go and move on to the next topic, which is thinking outside of Moser. Is the wellness app available for other companies to use, Natalie?
Yes, it is. We feel we've made something that's very cool, it's successful, and why wouldn't we want to offer that to other people? Employee wellness is a growing problem for many companies, and we want to use our talents to improve the lives of people, whether they work for Moser or somewhere else. So I'm really excited that we're making wellness available to other companies when it has done so much good for Moser and our employees.
I think, as I was telling Paula in our last episode, I think this would go very well for every company out there that really has their sights on making sure that their employees are healthy, that their employees are supported by their organization. And so this would be a great place, if not to start, then maybe to just continue developing their wellness program as a whole. So I'm very glad that we're putting this out there for the public and for other organizations to use.
Yeah, and there's no minimum spends with it. So like employers, whether you're a large company or small company, can tailor what you want to give to your employees, whether it's a larger stipend or smaller, it's whatever can fit in your budget for your employees.
So before we go, are there any planned new features for the wellness app?
Oh, we're always planning new features. For all the apps we work on, we always want to incorporate the feedback that we get from the people using our apps. It just allows us to make informed decisions and offer value where the users need it. But right now, we're looking into reporting. We're also evaluating OCR receipt scanning. So users would be able to take a picture and that data would be able to be added to the form that you guys fill out. And then some other things are additional ways to submit your receipts, whether that's through texting a picture or using Slack. And, we're also just looking at other integrations to other systems. While I have you, are there any ideas that you have that you would like to see?
I like the texting idea. I think that's pretty neat. I also like the OCR idea. That would be very helpful. I mean, I think it's very easy to use right now. If you add OCR to it, I probably wouldn't live outside the app because it would be perfect.
So that's the idea, is always looking for things that just make it simpler, faster, get people in and out as fast as we can.
And the integrations too. You mentioned possible Slack integration. That could be very good as well. I mean, we use Slack, but I'm sure that many other organizations do as well. So the fact that you could probably just open up a message in Slack and submit your stuff through there. Oh, now you're speaking my language, just making everything easier. Multiple avenues to get to one point. Yes, I like it.
You got to meet people where they are.
Yeah, this is perfect. All right. So with that, we'd like to thank Natalie for joining us to talk about the Wellness by Moser Labs application. But before we go, we're going to be at the SHRM conference in Chicago in late June. Moser Consulting will be there, and we will have a demonstration for the Wellness by Moser Labs. Natalie, anything you'd like to plug in there for that?
Yeah, and if you aren't going to be at the SHRM conference, you can also visit moserlabs.work to schedule a demo. Yeah, we'd be happy to show you what the app looks like and walk through the benefits and pricing with you.
Excellent. All right. So Moser Consulting at SHRM conference, meet us there, see us. I'm going to be there, say hi to me. But thank you again, Natalie. We certainly appreciate you for your time to talk about the Wellness by Moser Labs application. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening into this week's edition of Ask Anything presented by Moser Consulting. We hope you enjoyed listening to Natalie Fischesser talk to us about the Wellness by Moser Labs application. Join us next time when we continue to dive deeper with our resident experts on what they're currently working on. Remember to send us your ideas or topics via social media feeds. In the meantime, please remember to give us a rating and subscribe to our feed wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, so long, everybody.
Go.